When you first started writing, it was like joy spilling from your soul onto the page. You couldn't get enough. When it was time to stop, you were sad. When it was time to go, you were thrilled. You were excited. The words poured out. But what happens when writing isn't fun anymore? That's what we're going to talk about today. So, this question actually comes from a member of my coaching group in Facebook, Write Your Book Nook. And so I know I mention it every week, but there is a link to that group down there. So this question was asked there. I responded to it there, but it felt like a big topic. And when I also posted about it on my LinkedIn profile and tagged a bunch of writers, got a huge response. So that made me think, maybe I should make a video about it. So things happen, questions get answered in my coaching group. So make sure you join that. So anyway, her question was actually, is it unrealistic to think writing should always be fun? And the answer is simply yes. It's unrealistic to think anything should always be fun. So what does it mean when it isn't fun? She's like, does that mean I'm not supposed to write? Well, no, that's what it doesn't mean. Just because something stops being fun doesn't mean you shouldn't do it anymore. Doesn't mean, okay, that was it. It was a one-time spurt that I liked writing these stories and now it's over. That's not what it means. So don't let yourself fall into that trap that, oh, well, it's not fun anymore, so I guess I should be done. And I'm going to tell you a lot of the things that people responded, these other professional writers responded on LinkedIn, because I think it's really important. And there was, out of 15 responders, only one of them thought that writing and creating should always be fun. It should always bring joy and satisfaction. Okay, so not fun, but it should bring joy and satisfaction. And when it doesn't, he stops writing until he feels excited to write again. Now, he is a freelance writer, and he was not talking about his freelance writing, work for pay writing. He was talking about his creative writing, the writing he does for fun. Well, obviously, if you do something for fun and it isn't fun, why would you keep doing it? So there was three people that responded onto the post that the idea that writing will always be fun is very harmful to the writer's psyche and mindset. And so it is something that should not be mentioned. Oh, you'll always have fun. No, it should not be mentioned. Or that you should only write when you're having fun, because that's harmful to the mindset of writers. So quite a few people responded. And one thing that I really liked was Alexis G said she thought there was a good follow-up question. When things aren't fun, ask yourself, so what keeps me coming back, even through the lows and the highs? That's a great question. If you don't feel motivated to come back, then maybe you're in creative burnout. Now, I have talked about that in a different video. So if that is something that would interest you, make sure you check out my other videos, because I have already talked about that in completeness, okay? And Jeffrey S. said that artists require a special brand of self-care, and that was seconded by Lynn H. So again, self-care, special self-care that pours back into our creativity. That is what will help us have fun when we're going to sit down at the page, that will bring us joy in the creative process, because we filled up our well and we're ready to pour out again. So that is something to definitely consider when writing becomes more of a chore than bringing you joy and satisfaction. So if you want to make money, you can't have the mindset that I'm only going to write what I like to write, okay? It's not all fairies and unicorns, and you can't just show up when you feel good. That's from Kristen Lamb. Pat O says writing is not always fun, but it is always cathartic. So I think that is something that we find it to be true, because writers, we process a lot of our emotions through our stories, even if they're stories we never share with anyone else. So what was the best thing that I loved about this is there were a couple metaphors that were used to demonstrate that it's unrealistic to expect anything, yes, even writing, to always be fun. So the first one comes from Kristen Lamb again, and she says, oh, I love traveling, but guess what sucks? Traveling. New Zealand was amazing. The 23-hour flight there and back sucked. So there you go. She loves traveling, but she doesn't love traveling. There's aspects of traveling she loves, aspects of it she doesn't love. Same will be true about writing. Remember, the writing process is 4 steps. I talked about that a couple weeks ago. There might be a certain step that every time you get to it, you're like, oh, not this again. It's not fun. It's the work part of writing, but it's part of the process. So you do it anyway, because that's what writers do. And Chloe said she loves roller coasters. And so this was the metaphor that she used, the example that she used. One summer, she went to 5 amusement parks and rode every single roller coaster. And by the end of the summer, she hardly had fun riding any of them. Unless it was super unique roller coaster, she was like, yeah, whatever. Been there, done that. And she said that this is the perfect example that proves that even your favorite things get boring or lose their shine after a while. If you're sitting down and you're writing, and putting out creativity and not pouring back in, you're gonna get burnt out. It's not gonna be fun, and you're gonna want to stop. Okay, so here's the bottom line advice I have for you when writing isn't fun. Don't be afraid of working at it or of playing at it. And this is something that actually the advice came from my husband, who is not a writer. He's like, why does everything you write have to be something you're going to publish? Yeah, what happened to just writing something for fun? So don't be afraid of playing. When you're in the middle of a project and you have a deadline, you're like, but I can't take time off. Well, maybe you should think, I can't afford not to take time off, because if I don't refill myself, if I don't find that creative spark again, I'm not going to be able to finish this by the deadline. So don't be afraid of writing being work and going, oh, I must not be meant to do this because writing isn't fun anymore. No, sometimes it will be work, just like everything else. And don't be afraid to take a day off when it is and play. And don't write, or write something completely fun that's just outlandish that you know you'll never show to another soul. But boy, it was so fun to write it. And guess what? Suddenly writing is fun again. And you found that spark. Every day might not be joy-filled, but if your story matters, and I believe it does, you can write even when it doesn't feel fun.